You know that moment when someone asks you a simple question and you suddenly feel the need to explain your entire life story. Yeah, that's not self-awareness. That's something way darker. And it's destroying your relationships without you even realizing it. Look, I get it. You've done the work. You've been to therapy, read the books, listen to the podcasts. You know yourself better than most people ever will. But here's what nobody talks about. That deep self-awareness you're so proud of. It's turning you into someone who can't just exist without justifying every single choice. And trust me, people notice. They notice when you take 5 minutes to explain why you ordered a salad instead of just ordering the damn salad. They notice when you can't say no without a full breakdown of your childhood trauma and current emotional capacity. They notice when every conversation with you feels like a therapy session they didn't sign up for. So what's actually happening here? Why do self-aware people fall into this trap? It starts innocent enough. You learn about your patterns, you understand your triggers, you can name your emotions and trace them back to their source. That's great. Seriously, that's progress most people never make. But then something shifts. You start thinking that because you understand yourself, everyone else needs to understand you too. You start believing that if people just knew your reasons, they'd never judge you, they'd never misunderstand you, they'd never be upset with you. And that's where it all goes wrong. Because here's the truth. Most people don't need your explanation. They didn't ask for your backstory. They just asked if you want to grab coffee on Tuesday. But you can't just say yes or no. You need them to understand the full context of your decision-making process. You need them to know about your social battery, your introvert tendencies, your need for alone time, and how coffee after 2 p.m. affects your sleep schedule, which impacts your mood the next day, which affects your productivity. And while you're giving them this entire dissertation, they're standing there wondering why hanging out with you feels like homework. This is what I call explanation addiction, and it comes from a place of fear. You're afraid of being misunderstood. You're afraid of being judged. You're afraid that if you don't explain yourself perfectly, people will think the worst of you. So you over-explain. You overshare. You turn every interaction into an opportunity to prove that you're self-aware and intentional and totally have your life together. But here's what's really happening. You're not connecting with people. You're performing for them. You're so busy making sure they understand your internal world that you forget to actually be present in the external one. And the irony. The more you explain yourself, the less people actually get you. Because real connection doesn't happen through explanations. It happens through presence, through simplicity, through just being human without the constant commentary. Think about the people you feel most comfortable around, the ones you truly connect with. Do they explain every decision? Do they justify every feeling? Do they need you to understand the psychological reasoning behind their lunch order? No, they just exist. They make choices. They feel things. They move through life without needing everyone to sign off on their internal experience. And that's what makes them magnetic. That's what makes them easy to be around. But when you're stuck in explanation mode, you're exhausting. Not because you're a bad person, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're making people work too hard to have a simple interaction with you. Every text becomes a novel. Every phone call becomes a deep dive. Every hangout becomes an emotional excavation. Healthy communication is saying, I need some space today. Compulsive explanation is a 45-minute monologue about why you need space, what led to you needing space, and a full analysis of your attachment style. See the difference? Another reason this happens is because you've learned that your feelings are valid, and they are. But somewhere along the way, you started thinking that valid feelings require validation from everyone around you. You started thinking that if you just explain yourself well enough, people will never question you, never push back, never have their own feelings about your choices. But that's not how life works. People are going to have reactions. They're going to have opinions. They're going to feel things about your decisions. And that's okay. Their feelings don't invalidate yours, and your explanations won't change theirs. So you're just talking in circles, trying to control something you can't control. How people feel about you. Here's another thing. Sometimes over-explaining is a sneaky way of controlling the narrative. You don't want people to make assumptions, so you fill in every blank. You don't want them to draw their own conclusions, so you spell out exactly what they should think. But that's not respect, that's control, disguised as clarity. Real confidence is being okay with people not fully understanding you. It's being okay with people having questions you don't answer. It's trusting that the right people will get you without the manual. And the wrong people won't get you no matter how much you explain. Let me give you an example. You cancel plans. Someone who just exists might say, "Hey, I can't make it tonight. Let's reschedule soon." But you send a paragraph. You explain that you're feeling overwhelmed. You list everything you did today. You apologize multiple times. You promise you're not flaking. You give context about your mental health. You reassure them that you value the friendship. And by the end of it, what was supposed to be a simple reschedule has turned into this heavy thing that requires a response, reassurance, and emotional processing. You've turned a non-issue into an issue. All because you couldn't just let your no be a no. This happens in professional settings too. You pitch an idea at work. Before anyone can even respond, you're already explaining why you thought of it, how it connects to your past experience, what your thought process was, and why you're qualified to suggest it. And your co-workers are sitting there like, "We just wanted to hear the idea." Or someone gives you feedback, and instead of just saying, "Thanks, I'll think about that," you need to explain why you did it the way you did it, what you were thinking, what you were trying to avoid, and basically defend yourself against feedback that wasn't even an attack. You've turned feedback into a debate because you can't separate yourself from your actions. And this is the real dark side of self-awareness. It makes you think that you are your reasons. That if people don't understand your reasons, they don't understand you. But you're not your reasons. You're a person who makes choices. And choices can stand on their own without a TED Talk. So what do you do about this? How do you break free from explanation addiction? First, you need to get comfortable with being misunderstood. Not by everyone, but by some people, maybe even by a lot of people, because the alternative is exhausting yourself trying to be understood by everyone. And that's not sustainable. That's not even possible. Second, you need to practice simple responses. When someone asks you something, challenge yourself to answer in one sentence. No context, no backstory, just the answer. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel incomplete. You're going to want to add more. Don't. Let your answer be enough. Let the other person decide if they need more information. And if they do, they'll ask. Third, you need to recognize when you're explaining versus when you're defending. Explaining is giving information someone asked for. Defending is giving information nobody asked for, because you're afraid of judgment. If you didn't get a question, you probably don't need to give an answer. Fourth, understand that people who care about you don't need the full picture to respect your choices. They trust you. And if they don't trust you, no amount of explaining will change that. So stop trying to earn trust through transparency. Trust is either there or it isn't. And finally, remember that self-awareness was supposed to make your life easier, not harder. It was supposed to help you understand yourself so you could move through the world with more ease. But if it's making every interaction feel like a performance, you're not using it right. Self-awareness should make you more present, not more in your head. It should make you more confident, not more apologetic. It should make you more connected, not more isolated. So if you find yourself explaining everything, pause. Ask yourself what you're really afraid of. Are you afraid they'll think you're rude, selfish, flaky, unstable? And then ask yourself, if they think that, is that actually about you or about them? Because here's the thing. The people who matter will give you the benefit of the doubt. They'll assume the best. They'll trust that you have good reasons even if you don't share them. And the people who don't do that, they weren't your people anyway. You can't explain yourself into being loved. You can't justify yourself into being respected. You can't perform your way into belonging. Real belonging happens when you show up as you are. When you make choices without apology. When you let your actions speak and your presence be enough. So stop explaining yourself too much. Not because your reasons don't matter, but because you matter more than your reasons. And the right people will see that, even without the explanation. Hit subscribe if this helped you realize something about yourself.